Machine, pencil, cartography. This channel's goals are to teach its audience about diverse topics in cartography and navigation. This channel talks about navigation, and I often like to focus on podiatry. The reasons why I like podiatry are because I think that this choice of subject matter is the most reasonable and the most appropriate given our circumstances. Believe it or not, when I plan these videos, I actually dismiss subject matter if it is too exciting, especially if this subject matter is not within the reach of an ordinary person. I have a long-term goal of discussing navigations on circular tracks. The ergonomics of driving on circular tracks would be insightful for operational planning for commuters, since we are looking at round-trip commutes rather than planning one-way trips. I have drawn on inspiration from motorsports, since we can see that these events are clearly analogous to events that we see in navigation, since we have the same components. In the example of motorsports, we do have a navigational vehicle. Our navigational vehicle would be our Formula 1 race car. And in navigation, we also often examine our geographical environments, which offer diverse terrain examples that allow us to practice different kinds of navigational maneuvers. In the event of motorsports, our geographical environment will be our racetrack. It is appropriate to note that in the field of navigation, we actually call our navigational environment our track. This is because we often encounter the exact same problem, and our choice of language when discussing a carrier driving on a track is by far more insightful than discussing vehicles driving on roads. What is important to note here is that we have vehicles driving on a circular track, and in Formula 1, they like to categorize types of turns that they often encounter, such as S-curves and also hairpin turns. And I can definitely draw on the reputation of these turns in Formula 1 to discuss them in my own medias. In the field of pedestrian navigation, we operate within the geographical environment of national parks and forest preserves, and we don't operate on racetracks or expressways. However, we are still navigating, and there are analogous structures. In our forest preserves, we often deal with our trails instead of expressways. The equivalent of driving on a racetrack in the sport of pedestrian navigation would be to walk on a circular trail. This is something that we often encounter, and I like to refer to this colloquially as a trail walk. It is roughly cited that doing a trail walk is the same as operating a car on a racetrack. We call navigations on paved roads roadster navigations, since these navigations lack serious navigational challenges. There are reasons why I would discourage doing trail walks. The best reason is because when we go navigating, the entire purpose of this sport is to encourage the pedestrian to visit each place in the geographical environment with increased frequency. It is by far more important to spend your time during each orienteering event interacting intimately with your navigational environment rather than taking the easy way out, because when you take the easy way out every single time, then you miss out on learning opportunities. Therefore, we don't do trail walks because this would circumvent our primary purpose for hiking, and we would get bored. Anyways, I wanted to show you guys this animation that I did of a Formula 1 track today. Little art projects like this are supposed to simulate the process of channel development. Thank you for listening. This has been Machine Pencil Cartography, signing out.